In the heart of the Carpathian Mountains, where the trees whispered secrets to the wind, lay the village of Vornik. Its inhabitants spoke in hushed tones of an old grandfather who lived in the deep forest, a hermit known only as Tom. His hut, shrouded in eternal darkness, had become part of local folklore, a symbol of mystery and fear. No one from Vornik had ever seen Tom. His existence was confirmed only by the occasional smoke that rose from his chimney into the sky, a ghostly signal in the dense forest. His house was a relic of time, its windows opaque with dirt, reflecting only shadows. The villagers whispered that Tom had made a pact with the old gods of the forest, who had cursed him to loneliness. One cool autumn evening, a group of young villagers, spurred on by the challenge, decided to venture into the forest. Their goal was simple: to capture the dark allure of Tom's cabin in photographs, a rite of passage for the bravest among them. Cameras in hand, they posed in front of the ramshackle structure, its wood groaning under the weight of its age. As they looked through the photographs of the village, a chill ran down their spines. Each picture showed strange, glowing orbs hovering like ghostly lanterns around the cabin. The orbs were not mere artifacts of the camera. They seemed to have a life of their own, moving in patterns that suggested some form of communication, or perhaps a warning. The thrill of discovery was short-lived. That night, while the village slept, an eerie hum began to come from the woods. It was not the sound of nature, but something more sinister, a vibration you could feel in your bones, a hum that spoke of ancient rites and forgotten evils. Curiosity, tinged with fear, led the group back to Tom's cabin the next day. The hum had ceased, but the air was thick with foreboding. The door, which had always been locked, was now ajar, its dark maw beckoning. The inside of the cabin was not what they had expected. It was not simply abandoned, it was as if the life had been sucked out of it, leaving an emptiness in its wake. The air was cold, colder than the cold of the forest. The furniture was covered in cobwebs, but there was still a sense of recent unrest. In the heart of the cabin they found the source of the horror. On the floor lay a circle of runes carved into the wood, now glowing faintly with the same light as the orbs in their photographs. In the center of this circle was Tom, or what was left of him. His body was contorted in an unnatural position, his eyes wide open, reflecting a terror that surpassed death. His mouth was open in a silent scream, and from it poured a steady stream of the same orbs, like a river of light running away into the darkness of the hut. The group, paralyzed by the spectacle, barely noticed when the buzzing began again, this time within the confines of the hut. It was a chant, a call to something ancient, something that should not be awakened. The walls seemed to breathe, the shadows seemed to move, and the air around them thickened, as if they were in the belly of some colossal, invisible beast. They ran, their hearts pounding, their minds racing with questions and fears. But the story did not end there. Back in Vornik, the orbs began to appear in other places, in other photographs, and the buzzing could be heard at night when no wind stirred the leaves. The villagers learned that some secrets were best left untouched, some mysteries were best left buried. And yet the story of Tom and his hut whispered a promise, an extension of the horror that awaited anyone who dared to delve deeper into the mystique of the forest. Weeks passed, but the village of Vornik had not returned to its peaceful state. The orbs, now common in photographs taken anywhere near the forest, were no longer mere anomalies, but signs of an invasion from another world. The humming had become a hymn of terror, heard not only by those near the hut, but by everyone in Vornik, a constant reminder of the terror they had caused. A young scientist from the city, intrigued by the stories, arrived in Vornik. His name was Nick, and he was skeptical, armed with books on folklore, mysticism, and the occult. He interviewed the villagers, especially those who had ventured into Tom's hut. His scientific curiosity was piqued, but he sensed an undercurrent of fear coursing through the village. Nick decided to explore the cabin himself, armed with cameras, recording devices, and the protective charms he had learned about from his research. As he approached the cabin, the air grew thicker, the trees seeming to lean in, whispering warnings in a language older than human speech. The door, once again, was ajar, as if the cabin itself were inviting, or perhaps challenging, him to enter. Stepping inside, Nick felt an immediate drop in temperature, his breath visible in the stagnant air. The runes on the floor still glowed, less brightly than before, but with a pulsation that suggested they were alive, feeding on something unseen. He adjusted his equipment, taking images that would later show more of the spheres now swirling around him, as if curious or perhaps protective. His recordings picked up a hum, clearer now, almost like a song with words in a language not meant for human ears. As he listened, Nick felt the need to sing along, a dangerous pull toward the ritual Tom had left unfinished. In the dim light, he found an old leather-bound book next to Tom's body, its pages filled with illustrations of ancient deities, symbols, and spells. One page was marked, detailing a ritual to communicate with the guardians of the veil, entities that guarded the boundary between worlds. Tom had apparently tried this ritual, but something had gone wrong. Nick, driven by a mixture of academic zeal and growing fear, decided to study the book further. He took it back to the village, where he locked himself in the guest house, studying the text by candlelight. The more he read, the more he realized. The orbs were messengers, or perhaps extensions, of these guardians, and the buzzing was their song, their way of asserting dominion over this plane. As the night deepened, Nick deciphered the counter-ritual that would seal the breach Tom had opened. But time was against him. Orbs began to appear in his room, the humming growing louder, and the shadows in the corners of his vision seemed to stretch and twist into shapes. Just as he prepared to perform the counter-ritual, the door to his room burst open. The villagers stood there, their eyes wide with terror, their faces pale. They had heard the humming, seen the orbs in their own homes, and now they knew they must confront the darkness they had ignored for too long. Together, in the heart of the village, beneath the starless night sky, they began the counter-ritual. Nick led with chanting, the villagers following, their fear transforming into collective resolve. The orbs circled above them, the humming becoming a cacophony, a battle between worlds. As the ritual reached its climax, there was silence, the orbs vanished, and the humming ceased. But the world seemed fragile, like the calm after a storm that promised to return. Nick knew this was only the beginning. The veil between worlds had weakened, and whatever lay beyond it now knew of Vornik. The story of Tom, the cabin, and the Watchers was far from over.